So Caitlin Clark's competitiveness doesn't just go away. It was on display while she was watching Iowa. Obviously, a lot of fans were in their feels to see Clark and Lisa Bluter, her former head coach at Iowa, reunited. That was a nice scene. There was a nice scene in the locker room after the game, Jan Jensen and Caitlin Clark embracing. But there was a funny scene in the midst of the game. Clark's in the stand. She's like, "Come on," to some of the calls the refs were making, a familiar face. If you've seen Caitlin Clark play, the same sort of reaction she had to the refs in the WNBA. And when you're wired the way Caitlin Clark is, you're not going to be able to just dial that back, even if you are simply cheering on your old team. And Clark nearly crashed out at some of the calls the refs made against Iowa. Nevertheless, the Hawkeyes remain undefeated. Anyhow, here was the nice scenes going in. I referenced some of this, but some of the heartwarming moments that took place, including Clark in the locker room with head coach Jan Jensen. Here you go.
You practice and you play for each other. And I know, I'm telling you, I know sometimes you don't get in as much. You will. You are every bit as much of this win, whether you played a lot or you played a little, you didn't play at all.
There you go. Caitlin Clark hugging some of the Iowa players. Jan Jensen, obviously. A nice moment there that they shared together. But here, one of the moments of Clark in the crowd. You can see some applause, chewing some gum there. But looked like she might have had some words for somebody over there, playfully, right? And she definitely had some words for the officials as a spectator in this contest. There's two angles of this. One was this original one, which I believe was a little bit further. One was this original one, which I believe was a little further out right here. Let's see. Come on. What's going on here? Well, I guess that's the same one as the other one that I was about to share, but might as well just take another look at it and watch it again because the humor is pretty apparent there on the face of Caitlin Clark. Not. Let's see if with the sound. Flabbergasted, I suppose, is the appropriate word for Caitlin Clark in that moment. We've all seen that before. It's what was the de-escalation committee on the Fever? That's where that came from. And that's, you can't turn that off. That's the kind of thing you want. I say this as a coach all the time. I'd so much rather have to dial it back than dial it up because you can't dial it up. There's so many kids I coach a lot of kids, and it's not the same thing, obviously. But the spirit of it remains. It's really hard to get somebody to dial it up. Sometimes it's hard to get them to dial it down, but it's at least possible to get them to dial it down. Sometimes it feels impossible to get them to dial it up. And with Caitlin Clark, that's never a question whether or not she's going to be fired up and into it. And she was even into it watching Iowa. She's into it in the comment section too. And Jan Jensen got her licks back on Caitlin, which is worth sharing as well because Clark had written this, this can't be real, bruh. She still shoots exactly like this. And Iowa's coach said, to all the bruhs commenting, namely Caitlin Clark, this shooter had game for days. Vertical may be questionable, but I did jump over a chair and a fan. So there you have it. A tight-knit Iowa fam, even if Caitlin Clark was there this time as a fan.